attempt number 800. So, just trying to figure out what on the screen is going to look best. Good. Okay, bear with me slightly. Okay. Stop lights. Hello, Trig. Sorry you're here early while things are still being set up. I haven't done any live streaming in a very, very long time, and I have never done any live streaming like this. And I just realised I've lost my pencil. Not off to a strong start here. Ah, got it. Pens and pencils all assembled. Okay. So, good. So, right, we need to figure out what we're going to draw tonight. So, got a couple of drawings here. Got Cragwater down here. Live drawing without a pencil. It's more the pens that are the important bit, but I could do fine without a pencil, but I wouldn't get very far. I'd make a lot more mistakes. But yeah, so I've got Cragwater here, and I've got Galaderon here. Two cities. This is actually from a podcast called Not Another D&D Podcast. This city is actually inside this one. So this thing has a gigantic big hollow cavity on the inside, and then this sits with inside that cave. It's an old abandoned dwarven town. Now, I've been drawing cities from this world for a while now, and I've actually got a whole drawer of them down here, which I won't get them all out, but I've got, you can hear them in the background. I've got a lot of drawings. So I'd like to draw another city from this world, I think. I will not be drawing the coronavirus. I'll be drawing, or the reason I'm doing this is to take my mind off this bloody thing. So I am going to be drawing fantasy cities. So get this erased slightly. Now, I've mounted this camera on a different board, so it should be the case that I can shake this board about as much as I can, and it won't knock the camera, hopefully. Anyway, that's for your benefit. I have ordered a webcam and stuff. I used to have a webcam. I used to have a whole streaming setup when I did video games and video streams and stuff. I don't really do that anymore, so I've just gradually lost it over the years, but I would like to maybe start getting that again. Now, okay, should be good. Just a few last bits and pieces to set up. Put a drawing here to keep you guys interested. Little man with a mustache. A hairstyle that does not suit him. Sitting, drinking a beer. Keep you busy for the moment. Right. Okay, so what are we drawing tonight? Like I mentioned, we are drawing a fantasy city. I can't actually remember the name of this city, but there are a few points about it. So, the city that we are drawing. Um, hmm, uh, are these based on these are purely based on the descriptions that I can gather from the podcast that I listen to. Now, it's not another D&D podcast. You can actually search not another D&D podcast or not NADPod and look up their wiki, and you will actually find these cities. You know, this is Cragwater, for example. We have Galaderon here. Like I mentioned, I've got a whole bunch of others. These are probably the best representative ones. And for example, Murph, who is the DM of that, because it's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, describes Galaderon as this city built into a mountainside. I've taken a slightly more fantasy slant with it, but he mentioned a few key points. You know, there is the keep at the top. You've got a church district in the centre, along with a kind of more rich area where the kind of upper classes live, and then you've got the base here where the kind of the proles live. You know, the mass of people, they all stay down here. You've got this bridge that is a mile long that leads into the city, and then there are airports. You know, where the airships are taking off, coastal areas. And like I mentioned, Gladeron is on the Cragwater here is in the inside of this. So I also drew old dwarven ruins because it's an old dwarven city. Now, like I say, Murph gives pretty good descriptions in the podcast about these cities, and then from there I kind of just interpret it myself. The city that we're going to draw tonight has never been described or visited in the Dungeons and Dragons campaign that they've done. All I know about this city, and I'm struggling to remember the name of it, but I do have it somewhere. The city is a coastal city. It is in my map that I've drawn of this world located in the kind of north. And like I mentioned, it's coastal, so we're talking a lot about ports. I imagine it's going to be built somewhat onto a cliffside, and it's a kind of trading center. So you're going to be looking at a lot of airports for airships and things, and you're also going to be looking at a kind of class system. Because if you're looking at a trading town, there might be a kind of keep, but what you're probably going to have is this big divide, a bit like later on, between the lower classes and then the kind of merchant trading classes. In my own kind of head canon, this is also a big place for ships. So I want some dockyards in there as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to start by, I think, marking off roughly where I'm going to be drawing it. I'm going to just keep it within the bounds here, and that's just purely for you guys' benefit. I do not want to start going outside of that. I've also tried to set these lights up as best I can so that I'm not casting too much of a shadow on here. But what we need to do now is establish the shape. So I imagine this is on a coast. I don't tend... All these drawings that I've been doing have been two-dimensional. I sometimes draw things 3D, but the style that I'm sticking to with this is all two-dimensional. So what we are going to do is basically establish a coast, this line here, and we then want to bring in some cliffs. So I'm imagining we're talking about a coastal city like this, and I'm really talking coastal, so I'm talking here about this eroding cliffside here that's kind of stretching into the sea. And then if you've ever been to Duncansby Head, I don't know how many of you have ever been there, but it's in the very north of Scotland. It's near John O'Groats, which is the very north of Scotland there. They have up there a lovely set of sea stacks and cliffs. And so I think I want to try and bring that into it slightly. So we're going to have some sea stacks down here. Put them there too. This is the very top. And then I think what you maybe have here is just a small rise like that. And this is kind of maybe where the cliffs start again. You know, it's like in layers. So if you're looking at this from above, it's like that. So that and that. You know, it's like it's bitty almost. Now, like I say, this is going to look quite faint because I'm all doing it in pencil. So you're going to see when it starts turning into pen, it's going to become a lot more clear. It will basically turn into this. So let's start. Now, your main keep or castle would be up here. And it's going to be a pretty sturdy sort of keep. I think what I might try and do is I'm just going to try and move this in a little bit more. Apologies, this is not going to sound very nice. Okay. The process of trying to get this camera in the right position is an interesting process as well, because it's a lot of trial and error. But I think that's a bit better. Yeah, I apologies. A lot of dead space here and stuff like that that we don't need. But I'm just trying to get it a little bit more easy to see the pencil lines here. So, got the keep. Now, I'm imagining the keep at one point would have had its foundations run quite deep. And those foundations are starting to appear now because, of course, the cliffs are eroding away all the time. So, I'll tell you what, actually, the keep itself is falling into the sea. And it is being propped up in every direction here. Because it would, wouldn't it? It would be falling into the sea. Because it's a medieval castle, and we're not building those things in good places. Now, here you will have your airport, and this is where the balloons and various things are going to get launched. Okay, so they'll be coming up from there. You'll have keep. Now, this would all be built out of wood, and that's because, of course, this cliff is all falling away here. The main city slums and various things along this way. You'd have your exterior wall here, so this is the gatehouse. Okay, and then here we would have a lighthouse. Okay, going down to some bridges and that there. And then the actual slums of the city will have developed here. This here, like that. Nice. Lancer Castle falling into a gorge. I read Discworld. I haven't read much of Discworld, I'll be honest. One of the very first fantasy books that I ever read was, I believe it's called The Carpet People by Terry Pratchett, and I think it's a Discworld novel. It's set in a carpet where everyone has these minuscule little animals, and I absolutely loved that. I thought that was really, really good fun. Not really read much else of his. I don't know. I used to watch it or read it, and there was something I didn't really enjoy about the humor. Like I say, loved The Carpet People. Then I tried to read any other, and I just really couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I couldn't find my way into those books. I need to actually read some more. I need to read some like The Watch, like the series about the town keep and various things. That one sounds quite good, or that series sounds really quite good. I think the problem is that I maybe went in and started reading like his very first books, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe I just kind of went back. But it was, yeah, it's something I want to read a lot more of. I am very fantasy illiterate. Don't actually know that much fantasy novels and various things. I really should know more. But I tend to enjoy real history a lot more. And historical books and various things. And unfortunately, it means I always forget to sort of read any fantasy books. Now, we've got the kind of layout established. This is actually called Romaset. That's the name of the town. I remembered it. So you've got your cliffside here. We've got our lighthouse, keep, slums of the city, and then, like I say, the cliffs kind of disappearing this way and that way. Now, with that established, I'm going to back in a second. I need to jump onto my PC. Okay. Right. Apologies, I am trying to get something set up on my computer. It's not really working. I'm just trying to draw up the wiki of this place so I know it a bit better. Okay. Right. First couple of Discworld books are very much parody. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I started reading the first one, and I quite liked that. I thought that was really good fun. It kind of, but then I just, yeah, my interest kind of fell slightly when watching it. So when reading it, why do I keep saying watching? So yeah, I really need to try and get back into Discworld at some point. But the one, the thing that people always compare my work to, which is fine, no problems with that. But the books that really influenced me were the Edge Chronicles, and I absolutely love the Edge Chronicles. They are amazing books. Chris Riddell is the artist behind them. He does the illustrations, and of course, every time I post something, people go, "Wow, that looks just like Chris Riddell." And again, I don't have a problem with that, but it's like, yeah, probably because I pretty much copied his style growing up, and that's all I can draw now. Um, but yeah, yeah, I notice a lot of. I think, to be honest, what's quite good is that I can establish a little bit of a niche. Apologies, I'm just going to move the camera once more. Just going to try and get it a bit better lined up. Yeah, I think I'm actually quite lucky in that I can establish a niche somewhat in the fact that most people tend to draw character art, and I can actually draw cities, and I can't draw characters to save my life. So I've got a little bit of a different niche. Go. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life. I have actually. Sorry, played it a couple of times, but up in the middle of rural Scotland, there are not many folks playing Dungeons and Dragons. It turns out. So yeah, I have struggled for a while to actually play it, which is why I listen to so many podcasts about it. Which is the reason, of course, that I found NADPod. So right now we are just drawing the top of the keep here. Now, this is going to be a very run down keep. It's probably not really in use anymore, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Not judging the keep. But yeah, I'm guessing the subsidence has kind of made it fall somewhat into the sea. Go. I kind of do a slightly different thing. Everyone, or not everyone, but when I see a lot of people doing this kind of artwork, what I'll often find they do is they get the details done last. You know, they'll draw in even in pen, you know, the major features and the landscapes and stuff. I tend to start from the top and work my way to the bottom. I basically just start doing the details straight away and work my way through it as I go. So here is your final tower. So like I say, very much fallen to the wayside, this place. Maybe got the remains of an old trebuchet here. Okay, so that's fine. So that is beginnings of the keep. Now, every keep should have a chapel. So just behind the walls is just a little small chapel here. And we're just putting on slates. Now you can't see much of the chapel because of course it's hidden behind the wall here. But I would imagine that even well after the keep had finished being used, they probably still had the chapel set up for the occasional wedding, funeral, sacrifice. You know, these are the citizens of Rumaset. They would never sacrifice anyone. Okay. Now, put in a little fallen archway here. Okay. Hello, Steam Forger, and hello, Potato Girl. Lovely name. How are we doing? Yeah, I don't tend to often live stream stuff, especially this. Drawing on stream is a lot of pressure because things can more often go wrong than right. And in fact, my girlfriend is actually currently self-isolating, so I can't even see her for the next 2 weeks. She is currently out in the cabin where we stay at, and I'm in the studio, my parents' house. And Christ, I haven't even told her I'm live streaming. I should probably tell her that so she can actually come watch it. Okay. Right, very good. So that is the beginnings of the keep. Quite like that. Here's a trick. If there is a keep, there are ruins underneath the keep. Always. As a rule, if there is a keep somewhere, there is no way that keep is brand new. It's probably an old castle that is built on top of, old ruins, something like that. So if you're drawing a keep, always draw some ruins around it. You go to Edinburgh Castle, you go to Stirling, you go to Brochel, you know, any of the Scottish castles around here. What you will find is that they are built upon hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years worth of old builds and various things like that too. So always keep that in mind. Never make your castles feel. None of my stuff ever looks pristine or nice. That's kind of the point. It's all gross. Everything's gross. Medieval worlds are gross. So yeah. Yeah, I have to tell you, my house for working at home as well. That's something I need to do too. Joe Fletcher. I recognise that name. So your distillery kicked you out? Are you left out in the street, no tours, everything closed down? It's coronavirus for you. I'm having to sell my body being art here, online just to make ends meet. This is well done, impressive, but I have to say it's so comforting to see you using a ruler at straight edge. Yeah, the ruler is used mainly for establishing a relatively straight muddled line. So if you need to draw like a wall, the trick is draw the line but leave loads of gaps And then you can fill in the gaps with little breaks and cracks in it and various things like that too. That's my trick. That's what I always do. I always like to have a ruler on hand to draw stuff, but um, a straight edge can look really satisfying, but you need to add in little breaks into it. Otherwise, it's just going to start getting all messed up and or not messed up. It's going to look too neat, too pristine. So here's the fallen keep. This would have at one point been one of the kind of main towers. It's now gone. Okay. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, but we're drawing Ramesset. I don't know how to spell that. That is my interpretation of it. I've only heard it spoken. And Ramesset is a trading coastal town in the realm of Bohemia. Now, it is literally mentioned in passing once by Murph. He mentions that this character comes from Ramesset. Things then happen, which I will not spoil, but it is just mentioned to be a kind of coastal city that is full of lots of elves and various things like that. So as a result, I am trying to draw it somewhat elven. There's going to be some fantasy elements to it that you wouldn't find in a normal city. And it's traders, it's full of traders. It's a trading town. So up here at the top, despite the fact that the castle's a bit run down, up here at the top you're going to have all your nice fancy buildings, and then as we go down the cliffside, that's where things are going to get a lot less neat, shall we say, and the slums will start to appear more. Now, on that note, let's draw our first of the trading villages, or trading houses. So like I say, dotted line. It's a straight line using a ruler, but using dots so that I can add in little details later. And then we're just going to turn that into a dome. Now, to take a bite out of this dome. Go. Just because I want to add a little tower or minaret to it. Go. Yeah, a lot of half elves and Gladeholm reject. So, I don't, this city at the end of the day is a trading city. I don't imagine it's going to be imbued with magic and various things, but I want it to have a slightly elven style. And elven style, in my eyes, is mainly tall towers. that's kind of what it is. But Gladeholm, which is the city of the elves, is a big floating city, and I've already drawn that. It is floating on a big rock and full of towers. So I kind of imagine that the elves would find themselves more at home up here, because this almost feels like a kind of floating town. And then down at the bottom, that's where your kind of, like I say, more your slums and stuff are. So let's draw a little pinnacle tower up here. Okay. See if you want to fill up a space in a drawing. Just draw a dome, just draw a dome. And when you've drawn a dome, it just takes up so much space. You can then just it's like good. That's like 10% of the drawing done. Sorted. I can go home now. This is brilliant. Oh. Perfect. Yeah, this podcast, not another D&D podcast, is absolutely incredible. It's insane how good this podcast is. The quality of it, the quality of the production, the quality of the character acting, and I've never listen to a podcast that is so innately drawable, if that makes any sense. Like the way Murph describes these things in a really interesting way, you know, because he doesn't give you too much details, but he really paints a picture about what these areas and these settlements look like. But he leaves enough space where you can kind of fill in the gaps yourself, and I think that's really important. But it also makes it incredibly fun to draw. I mean, it's not some wildly original world. It's a very kind of fantasy world, but that's what makes it fun. It's the point of it, and I think the reason it's called Not Another D&D Podcast in some ways is the fact that it's the, as they call it, the campaign after the campaign. In this world, and when it starts, the world's already been saved. The hero characters have already beaten the big bad. They've gone to hell and defeated the evil sorcerers and all this kind of stuff. They've done that, and then it is the kind of repercussions of doing that that basically starts the actual campaign. You know, how have these cities fared with, you know, the boy king has been installed? Yeah, but he sucks. He's a terrible boy king. Like, they killed the evil dragon. Yeah, but that dragon created a power vacuum that has then created even more problems in the city. Like, so it's, yeah, really really good fun. And it kind of evolves from that into this just really interesting, really dynamic story with a lot of twists and turns, characters going really funny ways, but also it doesn't take itself too seriously. That's the problem. I hate things that become too serious, too obsessed with themselves, too proud of themselves. These guys like are very grounded, understand that it's, you know, it's a bit of fun, and like I say, don't take themselves too seriously, and that's what I enjoy. Okay, so we're actually a good chunk of the way into the upper city here, which I like. Looks quite nice. Um, okay. Apologies, I tapped the camera there. So the upper city is full of uh, trading houses, you know, merchant halls and guilds. Every fantasy city needs guilds. I don't even know what guilds do, but every fantasy city, they've got it there stuffed with them. Thieves guilds, merchants guilds, candle wax guilds, letter opening guilds. They just love themselves a guild. So I'm going to draw plenty of guilds. Of course, guilds have big, expensive columns and pillars. They've all got to have, you know, different different styles. Go. It's a bit like Venice. You've got loads of little bridges that cross the streets. Go. Good. Okay. Now, this is a problem that I often have when I'm doing drawing, is the separation of the background and foreground, if that makes sense. Like, the problem is I tend to draw everything now in 0.03 pens, which are the smallest pens I can find, basically. But as a result, sometimes it gets very hard to distinguish, you know, what's in the background, what's in the foreground, especially when you're doing something like this, you know, it's all 2D. And I mean, that's fine. That's partly the style of it, but you've got to be quite careful. I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at shading and hatching and things like that. So it can become a little bit muddled and messy, but you know, that's also part of the fun somewhat as well. Okay, so let's see. Perfect. So this is your kind of merchants district. See a lot of wealth, a lot of domes, a lot of spires, a lot of minaret. I should really know the architectural terms that I'm trying to draw, but I really don't. And I'm imagining you'd also have your cathedrals and everything up here as well. Go. So this is the kind of main cathedral. It's kind of hidden behind this guild hall here. Got a little clock tower on it. And this one have these lines going down it as well. Perfect. Okay, that's your cathedral. Let's review so far what we have. So yeah, we have up here castle itself. You then have the cathedral here, and then the over here the airship section. I think we'll do that next. Minaret. That's it. I don't know. I feel like you'd have maybe a religious sect in the city who would be calling out, singing things, shouting about various gods. The thing I always find quite funny about Dungeons and Dragons and world building in general, like, you know, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm sure there is quite a trope of your Dungeons and Dragon nerd, and I'm sure that in some way intersects with people who are kind of your know-it-all atheists and scientists, and you know, probably the in many ways first people to tell you, "Oh, God's not real," and then they play Dungeons and Dragons, and they're like, "Now view my pantheon of 900 gods." It's quite interesting just how pervasive gods and pantheons and stuff are in Dungeons and Dragons. But again, I suppose that's what makes it fun, and you know that's what was in Lord of the Rings. And well, if it's good enough for Lord of the Rings, it's good enough for every other bit of fantasy. That's, I think, why I'm probably not very good at world building, because not that into religion in general, so I don't really know much about it. I know how to draw a church, roughly, and that's about it. So, this here is your landing pad. So, we're going to put on our main air tower. So, these things, as I always imagine them, are big circular Tower of Babel style wraparound stairway towers, and basically they are just a series of balconies and ledges that your airships are going to tie up at. Go. Yeah, so these are nice big fancy wooden cranes, and what they do is they can lift up your airship hulls, and they can carry up supplies and goods and various things like that. I'd imagine in a city like this, very vertical, you're going to have to rely on cranes taking everything up and down. Okay. 1 second. an idea. Whoops. Ugh. There we go. Just so I can angle that a little bit better. Perfect. World building notes. Never heard of that. I'll be honest, I am pretty out of touch. A lot of world building stuff. It's a little bit like my my drawing style. This is sort of the problem. Is it's I tend to have quite a lot of repeating styles and repeating features and stuff like that. Just because, I mean, I'm not drawing these that seriously. I just draw them for fun. But it's because I think my architectural knowledge is a little bit limited. And as a result, sometimes I think that the problem that you get is that you find yourself, yeah, repeating a lot of styles. And I don't want that. I want all these cities, obviously, they're slightly different cultures and styles and histories and all that. So you don't want each city to just look like a kind of carbon copy of the last one. Which is why I've been reading a lot more books on, Byzantine architecture, African architecture. Obviously this has a very kind of European slant to it, and that's just because that's the style I've seen the most, and I know the most, and I've read the most about. But I'm quite keen to expand that as much as I can. I'd really like to bring in a lot more styles. I'd like to do a lot more kind of Asian-inspired drawing as well, in terms of the architecture and stuff like that. But without it seeming too, I don't know, you can fall into the habit of that just seeming a little bit fake, a bit, I don't know, not insensitive, but just doesn't look very informed, perhaps. Okay, so what we have now is the kind of upper section. Now, we also have the gatehouse here. Now, the gatehouse is the same age as this keep here. But whereas this keep has been crumbling and falling apart, the gatehouse has probably been pretty well maintained because it still has, a function. The keep does as well, but the gate is the main entrance to the city. It gets used every day. And as a result, it's probably a little bit less run down. Yeah, it's a bit better. The thing is, of course, this intersects. The wall, of course, is cutting right through this, but I'm not going to depict that. That is fine. I think we'll come back to what is between this wall and there later. What I want to establish a bit more is this cliff here. Okay. So what you have is this sort of pillar comes down that way and kind of spreads out down here at the bottom. What we're going to want to do, I would imagine, is if there is because there's a sort of hole here as well. What we'd want to do is we would want a stairway that wrapped around and around and around and then ended up down here, I would guess. So let's put that in. Let's put in a little stair. Now, maybe it's fallen away in some places. Go. go. And then going out that way. So there's your stair. Now the stair wraps around. Goes that way. She develops mythologies, government system, religious practices at drop of a hat. Yeah, it is a skill. It's like improvising. It's like improvisational comedy and stuff. People who are good world builders, it's really interesting seeing their mind work. I really enjoy world building. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. Oh, I don't like the way this is not working. Got very serious there because I did not like the way that stair was developing. But yeah, it's fascinating watching good world builders do things. But like I say, I think it's a lot like improvisational comedy and stuff. You know, you just got to kind of come up with things on the drop of a hat. I really enjoy doing this um, because, well, I like this stuff, which is working to a brief. Basically, it's like, you know, here's the city, here's the styles that you're in, here's the kind of context of the world. But also, I love it when people are like, okay, here's this mad idea for a city, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. It's this and that, and well, here's how the sewage system works, and and all that stuff. I really enjoy doing that as well. Um, I've always wanted to do a video for my YouTube channel where I basically do come up with a I come up with a don't like that crane. I've always wanted to come up with a YouTube channel video where I do this. I kind of do a drawing from start to finish and establish it. The problem is filming it. I mean, obviously live streaming like this, yeah, just putting this out doesn't really matter, just because I'm bored. But for the videos, I like to try and do them a little bit more professionally, shall we say. And you know, filming a drawing like this is really hard. I mean, I'm really conscious. I've got the screen next to me, and see this. I don't want you guys seeing this side of my face. Like, oh, hello. I think it looks really weird, off-putting and stuff. But at the same time, to draw these things, I got to get really close to it. So I find it really difficult trying to find a setup that actually allows me to show off the drawing. This is probably the best setup that I've seen, or that I've managed to do. But yeah, I need to figure this out because it would be really fun to do like a start to finish drawing. This is very enjoyable and relaxing. You should become the fantasy world's Bob Ross. Oh man, that'd be great. Just gonna put a little castle right there. Just gonna, what is it he says? Just put a little happy cloud right there. Oh, you know what? We're just gonna build a little podium right here. Just a little podium. Yeah. Just gonna put some wood staves on there, and then we're just gonna draw a little, just a little, just a happy little bit of wood going across that way. And then we're going to draw two little nooses coming off it. And just like that, we've got ourselves a happy little set of gallows. And that's where they would have hung numerous innocent criminals who had done nothing wrong other than be betrayed by an unjust system that penalises the poor and the disenfranchised. And this has been Drawing Fantasy with Callum Gillis. But yeah, I think we're getting. I'm actually really liking this stairway now and arch, and something I imagined that would be coming in here would be the actual old foundations of the castle above that sort of fallen in. And again, they've sort of built it. That's why the castle's been abandoned, isn't it? Because the bloody foundations are going. Crazy. Nice, says Learn Drawing. Oh, I could I could use your help, Learn Drawing. I could use your help. How do I draw something that is not a fantasy castle? Please. I need your advice. I do need to take some drawing classes. It'd be really good fun. Some life drawing would be good. Enjoy that. That'd be good fun. because I'm very bad at drawing human figures, and I really want to get better at it. Really, really do. One of these days, I'm going to have to do that. Okay, so we're further down now. This area here is a bit of a problem. We would have to, I'll have to try and flesh this out a bit. There's a risk sometimes when you're drawing areas of rock and stuff that it doesn't just become too blank. Sometimes you can make that work to your advantage. In this case, I've added in these things that kind of supports to the city, and I think I'd be doing something quite similar here. But again, I'm not very good at shading, so it's going to be a bit of a problem. Now, we are in the lower sections now, and this is where, as Trig rightly points out, trading city, port, smugglers. You would have a hive of infamy that would be stretching up these little rock sides here, and they would be poorly constructed buildings, your sort of Port Royal style builds, where they are falling to pieces, clinging to the rock sides. And this is where things are really fun when you're drawing at this scale, because all you're really doing at this point is just putting in little shapes that you enjoy, little archways, maybe a building here that's really overextending itself, built itself all the way out. There we go. These are your kind of slums that are stretching all the way up the hillside. You'd obviously have some churches in there. This is the good thing about building a faux medieval city, is that no doubt all of these bloody cities would have been awash with churches, because you look at an old medieval map, you look at depictions of old cities, and they were absolutely humming with churches. That is, because obviously, you know, you had a population. They all had to go to church. You had to sustain that population with churches. So churches would have been everywhere, and it's great because you can fill up a city with bloody dozens of churches. So this here is your sort of trading city area. Loads of false streets, so streets that have been built out of wood and platforms. Maybe even, oh wait, this is gonna be fun. Maybe you'd even have a ship that has been dragged up onto the deck here, and it's been demasted, and it's now had a build put on top of it, but it's there, just hidden under everything. Go. Yeah, looks quite nice. So yeah, that's quite good. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. We're obviously going to have to stretch this all the way over to here, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good start. There are two major ways of drawing slates and roof sections. Generally speaking, if I'm drawing slates, I will just start, and it's going to be very small here, but let me get a slightly larger piece of paper to demonstrate. So, well, don't look at this, the plans for my house, but if you want to draw some slates, this is, like I say, on a much bigger scale. So I basically do that. And then what you can do is put in a little shape like this, oh no, the roof's fallen in. And then you just work your way around it. There you go. There's a roof. So you can do that. If I'm drawing something that's a little bit cheaper, a bit more of a wooden building, straight down like that. Now that could be corrugated iron, or it could be wood planking potentially as well. But trick is, and you can see I've made the mistake here, but not here. Draw it like this first. Draw these lines, because then you can fill in this, and it now looks like all those planks are the right shape, but just kind of muddly. Whereas if you draw it like that, you've then got to try and find it to match, and all of a sudden little pen marks go over the top and stuff. So I'm basically just doing this on a smaller scale here. Same concept, same idea. Singing Crow, hey Callum, great stuff. I love how you still release random content once a blue moon. Yeah, I have been releasing random content once in a blue moon pretty consistently on a monthly to 6 monthly basis for about 7 years now. I used to randomly release gaming videos back when I lived with my flatmate Joseph Fletcher. I used to release the odd tech review once in a blue moon. And now I've started transition to doing documentaries and restoration videos and stuff once in a blue moon. And it's good fun. I like it. If you are looking for a tip to carry on making YouTube videos and not getting burnt out and letting yourself be motivated and come up with creative ideas and videos that you enjoy making, the trick is to just do exactly what you want. And the moment you stop enjoying it, or the moment that you find that you've made something you're not happy with, you find that you're grinding it out, you just stop. Simple as that. People have often said to me, because like I had there was a time where I made a video all about it was a trailer breakdown of Fallout 4 when it first got released. I made this trailer breakdown, and it got absolutely gangbuster views. People went absolutely crazy for it. It got something like it's up to about 1.8 million views or something like that crazy. And for a few weeks afterwards, I tried to capitalize on it. Of course, I couldn't, because I was actually working at sea at the time. So I was literally at sea for the 2 weeks that it was really blowing up. So I could not capitalize on it in any way, shape, or form. But I did try to kind of create some videos to follow up with that, and a lot of them got some pretty good success and stuff. I still make some money off them, actually. But I kind of just stopped because I wasn't really into it. And a bunch of people were like, you really missed out on an opportunity. You could have been like a famous YouTuber by now, making Fallout videos. I'm like, no, thank you. I did exactly what I wanted to do, which is I stopped when I stopped. And just recently, I made a video about the snow cruiser, the Antarctic snow cruiser. Did incredibly well. It's now up to like 3.1, maybe almost approaching 3.1 million views. And again, loads of comments. Oh, you should make more content like this. Don't release these videos. I want to see more documentaries. Why aren't you releasing more regularly? And it's just because, like, if I tried to make something that immediately followed up on that success, it would not be successful. It wouldn't achieve the same success. I would have rushed it out, wouldn't have been happy with it. So I'm just like, well, just gonna wait. Just gonna wait until I find the moment that I think I am happy with it. And then I'll release it. Whatever that may be. It could be a documentary about the Bay Chimo, could be a documentary about the Franklin expedition, could be a Minecraft Let's Play, it could be a video all about drawing, could be me restoring yet another piece of rusty materials. I don't really know, but that's what I enjoy about YouTube. I can literally do whatever I want, whenever I want, and I'm not so worried about audience retention and various things. Actually, what I've found more than anything else is that if you just make a video, if it's good, people will find it, probably. There's, I used to think, back when I made Minecraft Let's Plays, I used to think, oh well, I've got to appeal to the audience who are subscribed to me, I got to find stuff that's going to make them come back and watch. But I realised you don't have to do that at all. You just make whatever videos you want, and if they're good, well, then people will probably stick around and watch them. But I'm quite lucky in that the fact that this is not my full-time job. It's not even a part-time job. It's just something I do randomly. I'm sure if I was trying to gain revenue off this, where things would become a little bit more fraught, and I'd have to kind of plan out and go, what am I going to make? What am I going to do? But luckily, I don't have to do that. I can just draw whatever I want, make whatever I want. And right now, I have been having a lot of fun drawing. I haven't done this much drawing in a very, very long time. And I am really enjoying it as well. Wow, I'm also called Callum, and I'm also currently drawing. That is actually quite surprising, because you don't know if Callum's not that popular a name in the United States. That's what I've found in my career. People have not heard the name Callum, and they don't know how to pronounce it. Calum? Is that your name? No. It's like calzone. You go into a pizza shop, you know one thing that you want, you don't know what the second thing is. I'll take a Calum. Calum? That's what it is. Like a Fantasy Forest, though. I enjoy Fantasy Forest a lot because, like I say, one of my big inspirations as I did my artwork in the past was Chris Riddell, who is a fantastic illustrator and artist, and of course did the Edge Chronicle series, or illustrated the Edge Chronicle series. And of course, what I remember the most from that is his amazing illustrations of forests. The Deep Woods, which is the first book into the Deep Woods. His drawings of the Deep Woods are second to none. Now, in fact, one second. I did this recently. This is actually a drawing I did of Kepler. It's meant to be Kepler, West Virginia. Only problem here is I spelt it Kepler, West Nerninya. I spelled with an N for some reason. But anyway, I fixed that. This is something I did for the Adventure Zone, which is another podcast done by the McElroy brothers, very big podcast hosts. And I went back and I looked through a lot of my Edge Chronicle books to get inspiration for these forests that you can see here as well. Really good fun to draw. I really enjoy drawing forests, but I could be a lot better at doing it. I enjoy doing these though, and putting the clouds and that through it too. This drawing did really well. It's on t-shirts now. The McElroy sell this as a t-shirt. I did not like this drawing. I don't know. I was not happy with it. I didn't like this kind of style that I went for. I liked the trees, but that was about it. But anyway, that was quite good fun. That was me. That was the last time I did some major tree drawing, and it was good fun. But I need to get back into it in some ways. I recently drew the Watchtower, which is another location from not another D&D podcast, and I had some forests in there, and they were 2D because of course all of this stuff is 2D, whereas the other stuff is 3D. And I had a lot of fun doing that as well. I was quite pleased with those. More pleased than I was with Kepler West Nerninia. Is Scottish name Callum related to Irish name Colm? Probably. It all comes from Columba, the jet-setting saint who travelled the islands and threw his hand into every island and lent his name absolutely everywhere. I will say that Callum with one L, around here anyway, is pretty well known to be the Gaelic for Malcolm, the name Malcolm. So if you are called Callum, as my grandfather is, he will refer to himself as Malcolm in official documents. Because obviously when he was growing up, you did not refer to proper things in Gaelic. It was a disgusting language. How could you ever refer to your actual name? No, you have to use your English name, Malcolm. But that's where it's interesting because there is a slight difference there, of course, between Callum with one L and Callum with two L's. Callum with one L is more West Coast Gaelic, where I am, whereas your Callum with two L's seems to be more kind of border Scotland. Doesn't seem to be as common around here, as far as I know. Anyway, I'm very rare to find Callum with two L's around the islands, unless they are from further down south or something like that. And I know that Callum with one L is the outlier. Most people are Callum with two L's, but I find Callum with one L to be a very odd looking thing. It just looks so odd to me. And I mean, obviously it would, but still. But yeah, it'll be all that same common root. It's just amazing that it didn't really hit the States. They got Ians and Johns and Donalds famously now, but they don't have Callum really. The same way they've got Colm though, I guess, which is more common. I just logged into my descriptions. You're live. Don't know when I sub, but I'm happy to do. I'm happy to do so. Some Kepler art rep. So many people are like, wait, why am I subscribed to you? It's so funny. Like, I swear, constantly I get messages on Twitter and Instagram like, I don't know why I'm following you, but I like your stuff. Or I don't know why I'm subscribed to you, but I like your stuff. And I guess it's because I constantly change what I'm doing. Like, there's a bunch of I still sometimes to this day will get people coming to me being like, "Oh, who are you?" Like, "Oh, I subbed to you. I subscribed to you on YouTube back when you made Minecraft Let's Plays, and since then your channel's gone through 5 reinventions, but I'm still here, and I just literally saw you again after all these years." So yeah, it's quite funny. So you're not the only one. Not the only one. Yeah. Keep up the good work. Appreciate the videos you make. They're wholesome. Thank you. What sort of connection do you feel with your family, farm, slash property? How do you think it's affected what you do today? Good question. Very good question. One that I won't answer. No, I will. Yeah, I'm actually at my parents' house right now. I live right now because I'm trying to build my house. I live in a caravan next to my parents' house, which is about 500 meters away from my grandfather's house. And we all live on Rassay, in case anyone doesn't know, which is a tiny island off the west coast of Scotland. So very much fiercely loyal to Rassay. I've lived in other places and I worked at sea for a while, so I've travelled. I've been all over Scotland, but yeah, I'm building my house very close by as well. So my parents, my grandfather, and me will all be in a very, very close area of land, trying to build the house. In fact, I wonder, I might be able to show you my house. If I can find it. Oh, apologies. Just hit the mic. Right, give me 1 second. This is the problem when you have tendency to draw lots of drawings, then you have no way of categorizing them. There we go. That is my house plans. So this is kind of what I am doing. Well, it's a plan anyway, very early days. But the plan here is a sort of American style cabin. I very much enjoy cabins and American style things. And it's going to be a kind of 1.5 story cabin. Your entrance is going to be at the side here. This side here points north. So the sun is going to rise and stream through the bedroom window at the back on the top floor in the kind of loft. It'll then go around. It'll then track all through here, and then it will set at the front of the property. Balconies upstairs. It's going to have a little covered porch, hopefully. This, where I'm sitting right now, is going to be this area up here, this kind of studio. I'm going to move my office up there, and then you'll have a nice little downstairs area too. So that's the rough plan. Like I say, it's a fantasy drawing in the same way that this city is at the moment, but it shall change in the future, hopefully. So, my first pet fish was called Malcolm for that reason. Good. I'm glad. It's a strong name for a fish. Where does your name come from, traveler? Well, I was named after the greatest fish I ever knew. Malcolm. He was a goldfish. He was my best friend. Oh gosh. I looked through your post history and seen you done a Fallout 4 Easter egg video 4 years ago. I said, that's it. There you go. That's it. My loyal Fallout fans. Got Minecraft subscription fans, Fallout subscription fans. Now I've got documentary fans, full stop. I got very badly razzed during my Fallout days because in the video I made where I was discussing the Fallout 4 trailer, I don't even know why I did this. I referred to ghouls, ghouls, they're a thing in Fallout. They're these kind of zombie, well, they're not zombie, some of them are sentient, but kind of zombie characters. For some reason, the entire duration of the video, I referred to them as ghouls. There are thousands of comments in that video, like, what the fuck is this guy do? Why is he calling them ghouls? What's wrong with him? Is there a problem with his brain? Like, what's going on? So yeah, those good days, good old days, those. But yeah, that was back when I worked at sea. I used to work at sea. I used to be a sailor. I then broke my hip rock climbing, so I had to quit the sea life. Now I work as a artist, photographer, videographer, and tour guide at a distillery on my island. Of course, we are closing tomorrow, probably because of all this coronavirus stuff. We're not going to be open for tours and various things, but I'll still be doing all the marketing and all that kind of stuff. Well, you live in Rassie. I presume you've heard of Callum's Road. Not only have I heard of Callum's Road, travelled it. I know it well. Do tours on it. I'm related to Callum MacLeod. My grandfather and my family are from Flada, which is a tiny abandoned island at the end of Callum's Road. It's a tidal island. It is no longer inhabited, and he grew up there. So my grandfather knows or knew Callum very, very well. In fact, if anyone is interested, look up Callum's Road Rassie. Fascinating story. If you search the Isle of Rassie Facebook page, I've actually put a video I made up there of drone footage that I've taken. But yeah, like I say, history is my real interest. So Rassie history is just, that's where it's at, guys. That's the real stuff. Designing your own home is the dream. It is. Building it's the real dream. Designing it's a dream, actually. Building it's the reality, and that's the thing that's more difficult to do. I would very, very much like to start building very soon. Of course, well, past few weeks and months, everything's changed so much, hasn't it? But yeah, I would like to make a start on building at some point. We have the land. My grandfather bought good chunk of land when it was completely worthless, basically. Because in the 70s, no one wanted to build on Rassay, that's for sure. Um, and now, of course, it's good. It's quite valuable. There's plenty of space. I can build in the woods, which I've always wanted because, like I say, I like American style log cabins. So yeah, there's a lot of potential with it. Uh, but there's funding and mortgages and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I'm remaining hopeful about it. Don't really know what I'm drawing at the moment. So to summarize, if anyone's missed so far what we've been doing, we're drawing Rumaset, which is a location from Not Another D&D podcast. Fantastic podcast. It is a trading town. So at the top here, we've got the actual traders' mansions and things like that. You've got the castle here as well, and you've got the gatehouse. So remember, we're looking at this. This is a cross section. So of course, there would probably be a wall that would somewhat circle this part, but we obviously aren't showing that. Further down, obviously, you've got the slums. You've got the kind of old foundations of the castle that are starting to crumble through here because this has started to collapse slightly. This area here is all going to be a lighthouse, and this whole stretch along here is going to be all ports because it's a big port city. So we are going to have to try and draw that. So, like I say, we've got the slums. We have the rich area, we've got the old keep at the top, and then we're going to start here. I don't really know what I've done here, but this this is a kind of cave that I've drawn. And what I would guess is, using my world-building brain, engage, what would be drawing here is the sort of protected naval hub, which would be, so it's a kind of fortified dockyard where they would keep naval ships and kind of your more expensive stuff. So we can draw that in now. So it's kind of half in the rock, and you'd have these kind of archways here, and these are kind of inside here. And of course, in there are markets and trading towns, stuff like that. Go. See you later, Trig. Thank you for stopping by. You put up with the the very boring early stuff, which of course is the pencil drawing. Now that I actually get onto the pen drawing that people can actually see in the stream, so where things start to get interesting, you have to go. But thanks very much for stopping around. I hope to do more of these in the future. I do a lot of drawing. It's more the fact that I don't have a great stream setup, and I talked about this already in the stream. Trying to get a good angle for drawing this stuff can be really frustrating sometimes. But this is quite good. This is my phone that I have set up, which normally I would never do. Never use my phone to record things. But I have ordered a new webcam. My old webcam is like 720p. I don't really like it. Did you ever fix your PayPal? Because I still want to send you money. Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot all about that. A bunch of stuff happened. Family crises and Christmases and all of that kind of thing. But I have a card that I'd saved for you to draw. So I think I will get onto that. In fact, maybe I'll draw one of those live on stream one day. But yes, definitely, I will get back to you about that as well. I think I'm Scottish as well. I think because I'm Scottish as well, I'm naturally drawn to Scottish YouTubers. Yeah, I don't really know many Scottish YouTubers. Not know them personally, I just don't really watch any. Ironically, everyone calls me Irish as well. And also nobody ever thinks that I seem to come from the island that I'm from because my accent doesn't fit their preconceived notions of what I should sound like. I guess it's because this is a kind of, there isn't much of an accent around here. You just kind of, you speak Gaelic or you don't have much of an accent. That's about it, really. Go. Oh yeah, Mike Boyd. I've heard of him. I think he's based in Dundee, and I used to live in Dundee, and I think I met him. I don't know if he was a YouTuber. I don't know. I'm sure there's not a connection. Like our eyes didn't meet like across a club or something like that. But Yeah, I'm sure I recognise him. Um, anyone listen to Dungeons and Daddies? Yes. I was put off Dungeons and Daddies for a long time because I thought it was some weird podcast, but they've just got a weird name. It's a D&D podcast where these kind of like prototypical American dads get sent into a D&D universe. And it's really funny. I've only listened to the first few episodes, but yeah, it seemed really, really good. I was, I wasn't able to pick out their voices very well. That's the thing I like about Not Another D&D podcast, which of course again is what we're drawing from, is that I knew all the people in it because I'd followed College Humor for years, where they'd kind of all met and got famous initially. So yeah, it that kind of helped somewhat. I met you during the crappy Mindcrack animation days. Yeah, I remember those days. God, whatever happened to Mindcrack? Don't know if anyone remembers that. It used to be a kind of YouTubing community where they would play video games, specifically Minecraft. Etho was in it and stuff like that, and I was very heavily involved in the community. Um, I drew like quite a lot of artwork and stuff back then, just when I was in college. But that they shit the bed with that. Like it really, I don't know what happened to them. They just kind of dropped off the map, and now some of them are still doing YouTube. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But I did a lot of Minecraft animations back then. Very crappy animations. Okay. No, I'm just trying to consider where I'm going to go with this design down here at the bottom. Um, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the kind of shape of this port here. I think one thing I will do is I'm going to draw a. I talked about this way earlier there in the stream. That if you're ever in doubt, uh, just draw a dome. Domes solve everything, you know, because it can just be anything. What do you want it to be? You want to be a special theater? You want it to be a fancy warehouse? Would you like it to be a special lift system? It can be anything. That's what's so good about these things. So in this situation, it's probably a sort of cross between a warehouse, but also where the kind of harbor master and the administration of this harbor takes place. Again, it is a merchants. It's a guild. Again, it's guilds. If you've got a medieval city, you gotta have guilds. It's got to be guilds everywhere. Everyone loves a guild. Thieves guild, shipbuilders guild. You got it. What about a guild just for the people who cut down the oak to build ships? You got that. Oak cutting guild. Um, Keyhole guild. Different to the padlock guild. These are the guys that put the holes in the padlocks for keys. Yep, we got that. Every guild you can imagine. They're somewhere in these buildings. Man, yeah. Ed Case, Odyssey, Minecraft. These are blast from the past names that I'm hearing right now in the chat. My goodness. I remember those days playing Minecraft. I don't really play video games anymore. My problem is that whenever I attempt to play a video game, uh, I get distracted by the fact that I feel like I'm wasting time. Does anyone get that? Like I'm like, I should be drawing, or I should be writing, or I should be out walking, or trying to fix one of my various cars that are not working. I should be doing anything other than this, and then I can't enjoy it, and it's a shame because I enjoy Minecraft. It was really good fun. It still is. It's still the best game ever. Uh, do you plan on texture detailing the foundation, the upper part of the city? I do, definitely. I was actually mentioning earlier in the stream, uh, just going back to another drawing, how this can be a problem. You can see here, like I say, I actually chose to leave this blank because I just quite like the look of it. Um, I fleshed it out a little bit more on Galateron. Apologies, I just hit the camera there. Where you can see these little kind of crenellations and dots and marks and stuff. It's something I'm not very good at. I need to practice that a lot more. Here, the reason I'm leaving this blank is because I think you would have a lot more sort of bridges and platforms and cranes that will be stretching down here. So I didn't want to start filling that out too much until I've established the kind of connection between the top and the bottom. That's the idea that I'm going for here. That's why I think it's sometimes worth doing these drawings in stages, in that, you know, moving up and down constantly, shifting back and forward, because one, it makes you more consistent. The problem is, you know, over the course of a drawing, sometimes my style will change, or the scale, or you know what I'm wanting to do with it, and it means that if because I draw top to bottom, you know, I'll just start doing the little details and working my way down. You got to be sometimes quite careful with that. You know, I don't want to have it wildly change over the course, so I sometimes kind of jump back and forth to different areas of the drawing. I realise a slight problem I've made for myself here. I've drawn this dome, but can you see what I mean? Where from the back here, it kind of looks like this isn't a dome. It looks like we're looking inside. You know, here we're looking in there. You know what I mean? This doesn't look like this is the outside. Oh, well, screw it. You know what? It's no longer a dome. It is the inside of the cave. We have changed it completely, which is something we can do because, of course, that is the fun of drawing. We can do whatever we want. My rules. That's now the inside. Probably going to have to clean it up a little bit, but this is why you want to draw at small scales like this, because if there's any mistakes, you can just keep drawing over them, and eventually it'll just kind of fade into the distance, into the background. Don't have to worry about it. Okay. You're cool. Looks super cool. Thank you. Thank you, Yoran Cool. I think you look super cool. I mean, obviously, I don't know. You could look hideous. I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you're very handsome, but I'm sure you look very cool as well. And I'm quite pleased with this. I'm not super pleased with it, and one of the main reasons I'm not pleased with it is because I'm not drawing it like I normally would. You have to understand that when you're streaming like this, I'm drawing this completely differently to how I normally would. Normally, I'd be like this. So, and you wouldn't see very much. So I'm kind of sitting back, drawing from a distance, and as a result, you know, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes that would normally make me kind of rethink whether I want to continue. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's ruined or anything, but yeah, it's not what I would normally how I would normally draw it, or but it is how I would approach it. But it's just an adjustment. I'm trying to get better at live streaming and drawing and stuff like that. Cranes and pulleys would look great there. I asked because I find the bigs are tough. Yeah, it's the background textures are really tricky. Really tricky. You have to really know a lot about hatching and cross hatching and stuff like that. And that is something that I am terrible at. I just really cannot do it very well at all. Constantly amazed by people that can. Something I am trying to improve a fair bit. But the more you do it, the better you get. And what I need to do a lot more of, to be honest, I live on an amazing island full of incredible cliff sides. I really need to just be heading out on my hikes with a pen and paper and just drawing the cliff sides. It would help massively because the only way you can learn to do this is by, you know, trying to draw stuff IRL and then just applying that to your work. Just drawing a ship here. Here's something important. Here's something important. I've now just drawn this, with a flag, make sure the moment you draw your flag, you commit to that wind direction. Because what happens is, of course, you then kind of start drawing your little flags and stuff, and you forget which way the wind direction is blowing, and then all of a sudden you look back and all your flags are blowing in different directions. So yeah, be aware of that. When you draw a flag, remember to commit to the wind direction. I've made that mistake too many times. Nobody would normally notice, but it's something that I notice, and I hate when I do it. Okay. Looks kind of like the inside of a metro station. It does, kind of, doesn't it? I guess you can tell that I am a massive fan of Fallout 3. And I used to spend all my days hanging around the metro stations of Fallout 3. I'm not even joking. I used to get the ghoul mask, and I used to just wander around the metro stations in Fallout. I used to find that really fun. That kind of underground world. Just ridiculous because nobody liked the metro stations from Fallout 3. But anyway. Cool. Now, these little lines here could indicate kind of rock layers and rock types, or it could represent sewage. Because remember, we're talking about a medieval city here. Could be lots of sewage spilling out everywhere, no plumbing, just draining into the sea. So always, it's like the opposite of stink lines. Well, it's not the opposite, but it's like stink lines. You know, you're wanting to draw little lines going down. You can't visibly see smells. There's no point in putting stink lines going up from the city unless they're smokestacks like that. But you always want to do them down because, I mean, these pipes, they were just opening into anything. I mean, if you're living up here, that sewage is all coming straight to the bottom. Hoping to go to your island some point next year now that this pandemic is blown over, or once it's blown over. Yeah, definitely. Definitely should support small islands, small communities, especially if you live in the UK. Consider visiting locally in the nation rather than traveling outside the nation. There's plenty to see and do here in this country. And goodness knows, after this pandemic, those small businesses are going to need your support. Our distillery is very nice, very well worth visiting. Maybe if you're lucky, it'll be me giving a tour. However, I doubt it now because I do very little tours because I'm so stuck in the office, which I don't mind because it's mainly stuck in the office taking photos. I mean, well, out and about, but then I take the photos and go back and edit them. So, okay, so let's see. This is looking good. Kind of working our way up right now. Something I kind of forget to do quite a lot, but I need to start doing it more. Trees, foliage. A lot of trees get cut down in these cities, but especially up here in the richer parts, they would have parks and various things like that. Obviously, the old keep here will be pretty overgrown too. Okay. Okay, that's quite good. Pretty pleased with that. Yeah, it's quite nice. Now, big final thing here is the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is kind of on this pinnacle here. So you can see it there. And again, I talked about this way at the very start. When you're drawing a castle, when you're drawing a city, when you're drawing a town, a keep, a lighthouse, always think, or a trick I always do, I always think I'm drawing the 8th iteration of it because, you know, when you're talking about medieval city, everything's old, everything's falling apart, in my cities anyway, and everything is built on hundreds and thousands of years worth of history. So what you want to do is you want to ensure that it feels like, you know, there are loads of old buildings and old structures that they're built on top of. You know what's really worth doing? Go read the history of building some lighthouses, because what you'll see, and actually what you'll see if you look at current photos of lighthouses, is that they are usually built on top of or right next to the ruins of a previous lighthouse. And it's quite revealing because it shows you, you know, just how, you know, these things were getting destroyed a lot, rebuilt a lot. for various different reasons over the years. I think it's is it the Bass Rock? No, there's a lighthouse just off the coast of Edinburgh. What's it called? Very famous lighthouse. And it actually has the ruins of a castle right underneath it, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It's amazing, so atmospheric, so beautiful. Exactly what I'm talking about as well, where it's like, you can just see the hundreds of years worth of history represented in that rock, because of course they couldn't demolish it and take it away. The castle was just kind of left to rot, and now the remains of that castle are kind of sitting there. It's really satisfying to kind of study it. So this here is the main lighthouse. Now, normally you might have noticed I'm doing all these little dots going downwards, stroking down like this, all the sewage lines, as I was calling it. For this, they're all going to go this way, purely because we're talking about a lighthouse, and of course all of the wind and rain is going to be driving this way. All the waves are going to be striking it this way. So as a result, I feel like you want to show that through these little kind of lines. Now we're also going to build a little crane here. And this crane is for obviously taking supplies up. And what they've done is they've repurposed the old keep down here, because there was probably a castle at some point in the past. In fact, this castle, this whole city is probably built on the site of a much bigger castle that was there originally. So the castle was maybe this big. This is maybe just, in fact, to tell you what this is the old gatehouse for the main castle, which was here. But of course, this castle has now completely been destroyed. It's fallen away into the sea. They then turned the gatehouse into the keep. And what we are basically seeing here is the lighthouse. But the remains of this lighthouse is actually kind of the old foundations, the old dungeons of the gigantic original keep, essentially. So there you go. There's your history of Rumosset. So all completely made up, but yeah, perfect. Do you ever include people/animals in your drawings? I'm thinking a lighthouse would have some seagulls around it. Oh, it would. In fact, this is a really good subreddit that I found recently. I think it's called Crows for Scale. And I believe Crows for Scale, I think that's the name. It's entirely dedicated to drawings where of kind of vast structures where you can quite clearly make out how massive it is by the fact that there are kind of birds flying away from it. And I think that is such a cool idea and concept. It's such a great way of categorizing drawings and like a style of drawing. I think it's such a fun subreddit and such a fun subreddit idea. So yeah, definitely, we should do that. But yeah, I don't actually tend to draw. Don't actually tend to draw animals and creatures that often, and it's because I just don't ever like them. I'm never very good at drawing animals and creatures. Although I mean, I don't know. I'm not terrible at it. Trying to think if there's any drawings I have here of people or animals. No. This one here has got a dragon at the very, very top. It's literally just the top of its head. What else have I got? Drawn this thing, which is Ruthie the Shell's Bar and Casinos. It's a casino set inside a old bird box, and there's a snail in there. What else have I drawn? That's about it. Oh well, no, hold on. Here is an Eldritch Knight of Esri, Frost Dwarf, which is a kind of robotic dwarf, and one of those singing Timmy Tunas. So I've I've drawn the odd animal and stuff like that. I'm better. Yeah, at this scale, of course, it's very difficult to do. But birds, obviously, of this scale are perfect because they are tiny little dots that you can just have. You can just literally dot them around, like that. I mean, it instantly just. I don't know. There's something about adding birds into something. It makes it feel very kind of enigmatic and large in scale and stuff like that. Um, have you been to Belchnabat? Is that Belchnabat? Is that the road at Applecross? I believe. If so, yes. I forget actually whether that is. Uh, this is the thing. See when you live around a place, yeah, you forget. You forget place names and where things are. You also have to remember in Gaelic, everything's just named the exact same stuff. There's about 50 Belchnabaz, but yeah, Belchnabaz is a very famous road in Applecross, which is literally across from Rassay. Um, I've been up there quite a few times. My car's broken down on there before, I believe. Really nice. Applecross is gorgeous, beautiful place, beautiful location, great views over to Rassay as well. Um, the Bialch is an incredible achievement. This big, beautiful, winding road, very atmospheric, absolutely beautiful. I would recommend it. Um, you can walk up into the mountains in the back, which is just amazing, and get some good photos. I have well, I say friend. I've met him a few times. Nice guy. Jack Maris. He runs the Applecross Photographic Gallery. He's an amazing photographer, much better photographer than I probably ever will be. And he has quite a few amazing photos of that. He also has a much fancier drone than I do, and he has taken some amazing drone photography around that area as well. So I'd look that up. Applecross Photographic Gallery, I think it is. Really, really amazing. I need to get around there. I've got a camper van that I have been. Well, I've just put the engine back into it, so it's still quite a way away from being back on the road. It's been a long time off the road, but I keep meaning to load that thing up with all my camera gear and get some good photos at some point. Which, to be honest, good time to do it in a pandemic, because if you're just seeing yourself and no one else and going out camping, probably the best way to experience things in a health emergency, health crisis. Okay, that's looking quite good. I'm almost tempted to just like put that there and just do like a nice huge big arch. I'm not gonna, but what I am gonna do there and yeah, there. So in my head canon, there was an arch there, big arch that stretched across. Would have gone like that. Would have been called the Minaret Bridge or something like that. And it's now fallen into the sea. So that's just the little remains of it there. That's actually another good tip. I don't know how many of you are looking for drawing tips here, but drawing something, but drawing it complete, drawing it perfect, then drawing it in ruins around it. Draw your building in whole, then draw it with the top cut off, and it makes the whole thing make a lot more architectural sense. Sometimes that would be my recommendation. It works really well. That's what I often do when I'm trying to draw like big castles, stuff like that too. So we're going to fill in this a bit more. This is the underside of the steps, and the steps probably would end up coming back over this way. Just going to have them go into the city. Go. Yeah, and with that in mind, we can then just start fleshing this out slightly. Go. Looks a bit better. Again, I'm not very good at cross-hatching and creating texture in mountains, but it will do. It will do. I like that quite a lot. That looks quite nice. create some shading on the underside of that. And on here. Perfect. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's looking good. Okay, so that's nice. We need to obviously put something at the end of this rope. Put that there. And whenever I see a little thing sticking out like this, I put a rope on it. Put a rope on it. You got a problem? Put a rope on it. I don't know if that's probably terrible advice. Sounds very dodgy, but yeah. So that is good. Nice. I think this is coming together quite well. I mean, to be honest, we're almost done. This is us almost complete. Nice. Okay, so let's see. Now, one thing I've not done nearly enough of is boats, and I do enjoy drawing boats. Like to draw the odd boat here and there, like my medieval carracks. Carracks are good fun. Long ships are good too. Could put one of them in. Them in there. Imagine the dwarves they're long ship kind of people, aren't they? Put one of those in there. What was quite common in the past around the Scottish Islands here were Scoths. I think it's Sgoth. I think Scoths, and they were these sort of pretty fat, wide longboats. They were used as fishing boats, and I'm talking 1700s, 1800s. They're not that ancient, but they were clearly based on longships, used as fishing boats. There's only 2 left in the whole world. One of them is actually at Rassie. It's still used. It's called the Oinishach. Beautiful, beautiful old boat, and I always liked those. The other thing is Burlins, and Burlins are the Scottish longship. So obviously the Vikings colonised the Scottish Islands heavily, especially obviously Shetland and Orkney, but very much so Islay, the whole west coast of Scotland. Rassie itself is named from the Vikings. It's Island of the Roe Deer. And their culture and their influence stayed heavily. Most of the settlements out in the Western Isles are probably former Viking colonies that have kind of been appropriated into Scotland in that way. When then people will see on crests and stuff, they'll see, oh, there's a Viking longship on there. A lot of the time it's not. A lot of the time it's like say a Burlin, and Burlins are the Scottish version of a longship, and they are different. Although there are no surviving examples, and we don't really know exactly what they look like. We have to go on contemporary things. I've got a book actually all about it, and they're very interesting. Scottish galleys, so every time I draw one of these things are Burlins. They are not longships. It makes no difference whatsoever, but it can sound like a know-it-all when you say it. So that's always good fun. There we go. Right, very nice. This is coming together quite nicely. A lot of the time you're just kind of filling in gaps, really. You're just seeing where there are gaps, and you're just trying to find little spots where you can add stuff in. I don't really want to go much further along that way, though. I think that's the extent of the city. Yeah, I feel like that is where the mountain terminates in some ways. This thing up here would be a temple. It looks like a temple. Looks sort of like a pagoda, so that would be a temple. Cool. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, the birds just, sorry, Stan saying birds are a nice touch, gives it a sense of skill. It's amazing, isn't it? How much difference that makes. That surprised me, to be honest, because I don't tend to actually add those in. Let's go back to another drawing. This here is, like I said, later on. And it looks fine, but let's... That instantly looks better to me. I find that I genuinely I've learned something tonight, and it is adding birds. Crazy. Makes a huge difference. I'm going to be making sure and doing that now for all of my drawings. This is what I love. It's just so much fun sometimes finding tricks and little things that create, just they open up whole new ways to look at a drawing, you know. Now when I draw something, I'm going to go, right, birds. I have to make sure there's birds in there. It's little tricks like that that can completely change the way that you approach a drawing or do something. It's like little bits of ammunition that you can use, you know. It's like when I discovered drawing how to draw, like I started doing a lot more archways, and it's just a style that opens up to you. And you can find, what's great is you can find loads of books that have, you know, different kinds of archways, and you can look at different styles, and you can basically copy them and then kind of adapt them to what you want. Oh, and Stan says, thanks for doing the stream. You're welcome. I'm really enjoying it. It's good. I want to do a lot more streams. Well, I want to do more drawing videos. Like I say, I really want to do some videos on drawing like this because it's really good fun. But I think the streaming's good. I just need to find a better setup for streaming. This is not appropriate, having like the camera on my phone wedged like this. I want to be able to switch different things. I want a more static setup. I want a better mic setup because obviously I'm just using the phone mic. So yeah, I want it to be better. I don't know how. I don't know the best way of doing it, to be honest. You obviously need to get so close, but the camera I've ordered at least allows a slightly better kind of zoom in. It's a bit more punched in, which should hopefully help somewhat. Now, I'd completely forgotten. We need to draw some pulleys. So what we would have here, clinging to the wall, on the cliffside here, would be a series of pulleys that would lead you down to the base of things. Go. Go. Perfect. That's quite nice. Oh, hey, Fred. Wow. We were talking about Blast from the Past because somebody was like, hey, I remember you from Minecraft. Minecraft animations. I was like, oh my God, that was a long time ago. And now Fred has rekindled something in me. Not like that. Well, maybe a bit like that. Me and Fred used to do live streams, charity live streams. That's right, guys. I used to be a good live streamer. I used to live stream things properly. I used to have a webcam. I used to play video games, and we used to have Brits and Butts where we live streamed stuff, and it was good fun, really good fun. I do miss it, but a certain hip breaking incident sort of threw a spanner in the works for me, where I could no longer attend, and then it just kind of fell to the wayside because everyone got a bit busy with things. But I want to do more live streaming. Live streaming is good fun, especially drawing like this. There we go. But I do need to find more things to draw. I will be honest. I think this is it. I don't think there's even any other cities that have been mentioned in Not Another D&D podcast that I can now draw. I think this is the last one. So I'm going to have to find other things to draw, other cities to draw. I really want to draw more cities. I really want to draw them again in this 2D style. I've been really enjoying doing that. So I will have to find some more inspiration for things. I don't, because the thing is, I don't want to draw bloody, Lord of the Rings stuff. Everyone knows what Lord of the Rings looks like. It is, the films have established that look, that style. Everyone knows what that looks like. So, yeah. Fred, do you not sketch at all before drawing with a pen? I'd be so scared for messing up. Yes, I would be scared too. And I'm always scared. No, I draw very lightly in pen. You can actually still see some of it. So basically, what I drew was the line along, the towers down like that. Oh, well, you can't really see this. Sorry, you draw it along like that. Towers down. I drew this kind of minaret here, the lighthouse, along like that, and then I drew up over here onto there. I drew that basically on a larger scale, and then I just started in pen. The thing is, see, when you're drawing at this scale, what are you really gonna mess up? I mean, you're not drawing a line from here to there. You're just drawing it in tiny little bits and pieces. And as long as you kind of stop consistently and look back and go, right, is this still what I want? Yeah, this is still looking good. Then it's probably gonna work all right. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, I don't think it's a drawing thing so much. I mean, there are dozens of mistakes that I've made over the course of this. But they kind of blend together into one big mistake, and that big mistake turns into the drawing. So it's there are ways around it. I think you can get too caught up planning stuff out. Planning stuff out works really well though when you've got a complex drawing. If you really want an interaction between the bottom and the top of the drawing, if you've got a particular feature, a piece of architecture that is going to influence the rest of the drawing, you want to plan that out and the size and the shape of it. But when you're drawing like this, it's what's going to go wrong really? Go. This is a technique as well for adding a little bit of depth. It's just like little shadows in the background. Hints of a taller tower. Oh, what's that over there? It's a little spire, but it's hidden in the mist somewhat. Oh, look, there it is. It's disappearing there. Just makes it feel like this. It kind of stretches back slightly. There are arguments for drawing everything on a single plane, and not. I mean, it really depends on the kind of look that you're going for. Sometimes drawing something on just a singular plane can look really cool because it gives it a sort of architectural look to it, like an architectural drawing that I like. But then sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Just depends what you're going for. Okay. That is good. A little hint of light there. And that light obviously is going to be spilling through here. So I want to establish a go. Okay, this is pretty good. I think we're almost there. I think what we'll need to do obviously is put in some weather balloons. These are your means of transportation in the realm of Bohemia. I imagine how these guys get from top to bottom is through the use of balloons and launching pads. And what we're going to use is we're actually going to use the ruins of this old bridge that I talked about earlier as the takeoff point for these balloons. It's all about repurposing, isn't it? There we go. So that's kind of where those balloons would be taken off from. Makes more sense, doesn't it? In this wild world. God, wouldn't it be amazing if airships were just a thing? You just look out your window and oh, there's the 10 o'clock airship. Just traveling by. God. Guy can dream. A guy can dream. Now the other thing we'll want to do is put in some clouds. This is where, man, clouds are a tricky one. It's very rare that I draw clouds that I'm like, oh my god, I've ruined the drawing. But there's a way to drawing clouds that sometimes I get right and sometimes I just do not get right. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Something I do need to start doing, I need to start taking an eraser, a rubber to this, and taking out some of the pencil. Problem is, of course, pen is not impervious to erasers. So when you start rubbing this stuff out, the pens are going to get faded, and what started as a very crisp drawing starts to fade out somewhat. So you don't want to do it too hard. And that's one of the other reasons that drawing in pencil is actually a double-edged sword. So you can plan things out, but then it can really fade your drawing. But it also means that if you've gone over something a bit too heavily in pen, you can just rub it out. Okay, that's quite good. So the very first building we drew, this original castle, we're just going to shore up the line work on that a bit more. Okay. The annoying thing with this drawing that I'm not a fan of is you've got this dead space here, basically. I mean, obviously, if I could just crop it, so it's there. But obviously, But I also don't want to draw too much back into that because, to be honest, I don't think the city. It doesn't feel like it would stretch that far back. I mean, obviously, what I can just do is turn this into just, rough cliffs. But yeah. There. Well, you know what? My girlfriend's dad used to be an art teacher, and one thing he was very, very, he's always hammered into me. So he's always been like, there's a point in which something works. And what happens often is that you go at it and you go at it and you're like, oh, I'll add a bit more and I'll add a bit more. And then you get to that tipping point and you look back and you go, ruined it. And we're getting close to that stage. We're not that, you could mess this up in a lot of different ways, but it is the case that you can sometimes you can overdraw something. I do firmly believe that. So it is quite important to know when to quit, when to stop. Now, looking back, problems. The castle didn't really work out as well as I hoped it did. There's a depth problem to it. Like, is this right here? Is everything behind it? Is it on a similar plane and level to things? Yeah, that didn't work great. I think I would have probably brought this castle more into the drawing and used this space a bit more. Like, maybe what would have happened would have been I'd brought this down and then back up, like Pike from Game of Thrones. In fact, that's what I should have done. Yeah. What I should have done with this drawing is it should have come down like this into the sea and then come out like that. And then there, 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 there's remains of the city falling into the sea. And then maybe even you hint at another bit. That's it. Look, figured it out. See, sometimes you're just looking at it and you're like, something's not working. Something's not right here. That was it. Figured it out. Drawings are like, there's a key to a drawing, you know, if that makes sense. Like there's a solution in there. The drawing looks like there is a final point to the drawing, and it's just kind of hiding in there. You just gotta find it. You know what I mean? Okay. Check out the island of Onna on Norway for a bit of inspiration for the next one. It's a small island, not much to draw, but I think it has a cool feel to it. The lighthouse is central to life. Reminds me of another Norwegian island that I know lots about and that I'm planning to visit, which is Myken. And I know it because I was a distillery there, and I know it because I actually know the people who own and run the distillery. They're very, very nice people. They had to actually cancel their trip to Scotland and to the distillery because of this bloody coronavirus. But I'm just looking up Ona right now. So let's see. Always open to lighthouse and small island suggestions. Oh, yeah. I do like it a lot. Wow. Wow. Amazing suggestion. Damn, that's a great. I'm just looking at that. That is a fantastic island. That is really, really cool. We are going to draw that. Norwegian house styles are fantastic, and we were actually talking about the house I'm designing earlier. Very much inspired by a lot of Norwegian house styles, Icelandic house styles. Really, really cool. Yeah, really fun. I'm gonna have to draw that at some point. I like small contained drawings a lot. I like islands. Like philosophically, I like islands. See, when I'm playing Minecraft, first thing I always do, search out an island. I go out and find myself an island to live on and to work on. Because I like being contained to one place. I like knowing the bounds in which I have to work within. It's always more fulfilling and interesting, I think. Living, working, drawing, playing Minecraft on an island. So, what's quite fun sometimes is drawing the borders and then drawing within those borders. Like, oh, what am I going to draw? It's evolved into this particular island. Nice, nice. We can draw this, but you know kind of where the limits of it are. Just realised there's too many bridges here that are complete. Got to have a lot more broken bridges. These broken bridges feels like the name of a song. Yeah, look at that. Look at this. Would I be lying if I said that I didn't? Sometimes look at my drawing and go, and like imagine all the stuff that's happening in it. Yes, I would be lying because I do it all the time. Bloody look at these things. I'm like, whoa, man, what must be happening there? Whoa, look at this. It's like playing with Lego. That's the thing. Building in Minecraft and building with Lego is fun, but it's quicker to build something by drawing it than it is making it with Lego. Oh man, I think I'm starting to get a bit of a headache. I think I've been drinking too much coffee today and looking at too many computer screens. It's Monday, of course, so I was back at work, so a lot of paperwork and meetings and emails to catch up on, and a lot of photo editing and video editing. Of course, a lot of just not knowing what's going on with all this blooming upheaval in the world. And I will say, sitting here for this past hour doing nothing but drawing and talking has been incredibly therapeutic to just forgetting about all this craziness with coronavirus and various things. Very important that you try to switch off amidst all of this nonsense, because of course it is just going to consume the world for the next few months and unfortunately probably years. That is just the reality of it. But I think it's important to, especially online, social media and stuff, it's so easy to just be constantly refreshing, constantly checking stuff all the time. You know, what's happening. And that's important, but of course it's overwhelming, isn't it? You can't possibly keep up with this stuff. How much do I need to scroll before it gets better? It's a tweet I saw, I think, and it's true, isn't it? Like, you're not going to gain anything by scrolling through endless threads and stuff like that. You're much better turning off your phone, sitting down, reading a book, drawing a picture, playing a video game. I don't often recommend playing video games, but I would recommend playing video games while the world is in this absolute nightmare mess. Just, you're quarantined, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, I am not quarantined, but, you know, I know someone who is. My poor, lovely girlfriend, who I cannot see for 2 weeks, except she is literally in a caravan right outside. Not in a caravan, not in a bad caravan. Like, it's a nice caravan. Not just put her in a caravan. But it's still, it's, you know, I basically cannot see her now for 2 weeks. I can see her through a window. I can see her from a distance. I could maybe get a brush, like on a pole, and then stroke her with it. That is the best I can do. It's very sad. But yeah, that is what it is right now. And gotta take these precautions because a lot of old folks gotta be careful with. Look at that. That has filled out that space so much better. It's like pulling a bit of bread apart. You know, it's just like, or string cheese. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that. I'm much more happy with that now. It feels now like a complete picture, you know, built onto this cliffside. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. You guys think it looks okay? Okay, good. Because as you know, I go completely on your word. And if you guys told me to destroy this, I would do it in a second. Because I bloody just live for your own amusement. I am your monkey. Yeah, pretty pleased with that. That's looking good, looking nice, looking satisfying. It's looking fun. It's looking good. Oh, hey Benji. I'm assuming that's Benji as an odd mass. I don't know many other Benjis, although it could be another Benji. And if it is the other Benji, hello to you too. Oh boy, right. Well, this is pretty. Charles Two-Legged Mouse says, looks amazing. Thank you, Charles Two-Legged Mouse. That's nice of you. Really pleased. I was not so happy with this when I first started. Really was not liking it. When I initially drew this castle and these buildings up here, it felt really disjointed. By the time you got more into like the slums and stuff, it started to really flesh out a lot better. And by the end, yeah, I think this is pretty good. Pretty good for something that I've live streamed because I like I was saying, this. I'm just drawing birds everywhere now because I love drawing birds now. This is something that I've not done before on stream, and drawing on stream, like I was talking about, can actually be really tricky because you're just drawing a different position and it's a little bit less comfortable, and stage performance, it's performance issues happens to the best of us. So yeah, really, really impressed by actually how well it came together in the end. Because yeah, the other thing is I made a big mistake with this dome down here. The moment I drew it, I actually said, I was like, if you've ever got a problem, draw a dome. And then I drew the dome and I was like, oh God, this doesn't work. But it's actually worked out quite nicely because now it looks more like the inside of this big archway, which is pretty good, all things considered. Go. Something I'm still not very good at, I need to improve at, is drawing water. And I mean, I'm a bloody sea otter. I spend all day in the water. I love water. I'm swimming all the time. Love boats, drawing boats all the day. Still not very good at drawing water. Need to get better at that. But I think that's quite nice. I mean, comparing it to the other cities, there's your Gladeron, there's Cragwater. Just trying to see if there's any other cities nearby here. Let me dig out my other cities. Nothing there. Not that. As you might be able to hear, I have a lot of drawings. Bloody hell. Oh, a mess. Okay. I've got a feeling my other drawings must be in my scanner because I cannot find them anywhere. Aha! This is interesting though. This here is the map of Bohemia that I have drawn. And right now we are actually drawing that. God Christ, I should not draw that. That's the original. I should really not be drawing it. But that is, that's what we're drawing right now. That is Rumaset, I think it's called. And like I say, I've actually drawn now all of the major cities listed here. So I've drawn Frostwind, Gladeholm down here on the west coast, Esri, Gladeholm and Cragwater, because they're both in the same place. I've drawn parts of the Crick, which is this kind of swampland here. And I've also drawn some parts of Moonstone. I don't know if I mentioned Esri, this city here. I've also drawn that. And I've also drawn the Watchtower, and the Watchtower is this tower in the middle of this forest here. So I've drawn a good chunk of these now. You can actually find them on my Twitter. If you go to my Twitter, you'll see quite a lot of these drawn out. So yeah, pretty chuffed. The only one that I've not drawn is this, and this is Iron Deep. And Iron Deep is the third dwarven city in this world. And not drawn that yet. It's, well, the way it's been described and the way that I imagine it, it is a very internal city, so it's all internal, it's built into the inside of a cavern. So whereas, here's another drawing I've actually done of Cragwater, but this one's 3D, as you can see. This drawing of Cragwater shows it in a more 3D angle, and whereas Cragwater was sitting on this pinnacle inside a cavern, the Iron Deep is kind of built on the inside. It's kind of it's the reverse, the opposite of Cragwater, which is very hard to draw. I'm trying to imagine drawing it in this kind of setup, and it'd be quite difficult, I think. What my thought of doing, my idea with that is actually to draw it like, see if I can find it. sorry, I just keep losing drawings. I don't know what's going on here. You can actually bloody find them, because a lot of these are originals. Yeah. My plan is to draw it like this. Now, this is a drawing of a stump. It's a house from the crick. And as you can see, it's a cutaway, but like the cross sections that you find in those kids' books. And that's probably what I would do with Iron Deep. So I would draw a big cavern, a big mountainside, and then I would do cutouts of it showing the different areas of Iron Deep. So that's the sort of idea that I'm working with for the Iron Deep drawing. But I don't really know. I'll have to try and figure that one out. But yeah, that is us close to the end, though. I think this is quite good. Thank you very much for stopping by and watching. I had a lot of fun drawing this. Really chuffed with it. And oops, I need to, I think, do this again. I need to figure out, like I say, what we're going to draw. Maybe it will be the Ona Island, which I very much like. And yeah, we'll maybe try and draw something again. But yeah, pretty good with, pretty chuffed with this. I'm going to commit to writing out the name Rumaset. Rumaset? I think that's the name. really probably shouldn't have done that in pen in case it's wrong. But yeah, Rumaset. Trading city built on the coast, eroding away over the years, but still retains this very strong class system of the traders and the guilds up here at the top, and then your more slums down here and the dockyards, and of course the old lighthouse. And of course this old lighthouse was actually the kind of center point of the original castle. In days gone by, the original castle was here, and this old keep here was actually the gatehouse. But of course that is now all collapsed and eroded away, a little bit like Pike in Game of Thrones. So yeah, I also added in, of course, this sort of cavern here, which I just realized has quite a unusually ball-like dick and ball shape to it, but cannot unsee that now. But anyway, that's just my dirty mind. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Really enjoyed doing this. Definitely going to be doing more of this stuff in the future. Bit of a slow start, trying to figure this out. I think what I do next time is, the next time I do this, I'm going to draw the pencil drawings first, show that to everyone, and then I can get started straight into the drawing. The other thing that I will get sorted for the next time is probably a better kind of webcam setup. So we'll look at doing that as well. But yeah, it's been really good fun. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Stream's a little bit behind, so I'm seeing you guys. Oh yeah, that's everyone saying bye now. So thanks very much, guys. Like I say, if you want to see a high quality photo of this as well as my other drawings, just go to my Twitter account. So twitter.com/CalumRassie, and I will put that up on there. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.